everyone, and welcome to this live reading session with me, Hannah. And just want to see how you are doing today. How's your weekend going? Sunday. I feel like Sunday is a pretty good day to do readings. So I'm back and I have 3 people booked in already. So Raina, we have Raina, welcome back. And we also have Danielle. Hi, Danielle. I hope you're doing good. And thank you both for, of course, booking. And then we also have, just to let you know, Diane. Yes, so Raina, Danielle, and Diane. And I have Raina's chart up already. And I do remember you from last time, Raina. So you were asking about your North Node in Capricorn, Neptune as well there. So we're going to get into your readings. Hello, everyone's joining in. Great. So just to let you know that the instructions are down below on how to book. Okay, it's all very much there. The link and everything is there. Hello, Alexander. Yeah, full moon in Gemini today. Yeah, I honestly, I feel a little bit all over the place myself, and I just really don't want to make any mistakes today, so I want to be careful. But the good news is that Mercury's going to be turning direct as well at some point. It's been pretty chaotic on my end, but you know what? Staying positive. Okay, right. This is then for Raina. We're going to get into your reading, and I'm just looking over your question again. Okay, so the nodes, Neptune and Capricorn, spiritual gifts, things like that. Planets in the 8th and 9th houses. Okay. Purpose, being of service. Okay, lovely. Well, I want to think about how in your chart, Raina, if I just grab this. So the first thing is to explore the South Node. So the South Node is in Cancer, and it's actually very close to Chiron for you. So in this way, we can look at this as maybe some wounds, scars, rejections, painful situations to do with family, especially thinking about how family has impacted or influenced your self-worth. This could be specifically more of a mother influence, a maternal influence in your life, for example. But overall, this could be some kind of wound to do with your body. Okay, it could be physically, it could be emotionally, of course, as well. And there could also be this sense of protection, okay, feeling like you need to protect yourself and to maybe go into your shell a little bit, especially during times if you ever feel like someone is pushing that wound of yours or triggering it, right? So we're seeing these themes. But here's the thing, we can also look at this as with Chiron, we turn our wounds into wisdom, right? We really want to think about, especially, I think about Chiron in stages, and naturally, this stage that you're in, I think this is about healing. This is about integration, looking at the wound, looking at your pain in some way, being honest with yourself about what comes up. And yes, indeed, working with Chiron is very heavy, and I want to be very sensitive whenever I speak about Chiron. But what we also want to think about then too is that you can, of course, like I was saying, with turning wounds into wisdom, maybe what you will find as you mature and age and you work with this part of you, there is so much that you can offer to others. We can look at this perhaps as you nourishing others, nurturing them, being very compassionate and empathetic towards others, especially toward those who maybe have felt separated from their own families, or there's some issues with their own families. We could also look at this as you helping people with their own emotions, right? Supporting them through their emotions. And it's interesting to further consider because, well, when we do actually look firstly to the moon is in the seventh house in Sagittarius. And so there could be this bringing of knowledge influence when it comes to others, right? So you may be being a very supportive partner, for example, or you may be being a very supportive associate or business partner as well. And then to also further add with Venus being in Pisces, whenever I kind of mix this in a little bit with the Cancerian influence, and you did interestingly ask about, service to others, helping others. I mean, Venus in Pisces in the 10th is so much about this, I think. I think there are big elements here of you wanting to maybe serve, support, offer assistance. And we could also look at this as you helping those who are less fortunate, helping people who maybe are struggling with addiction, or maybe they're struggling just in some way, shape, or form with their own lack of boundaries, for example. Maybe even with Saturn transiting your 10th house right now, Raina, you're really heavily thinking about all of this. And then Jupiter's also transiting your first. And maybe it just sort of is a period of, okay, time to reflect, time to consider, okay, what is the next step for you when it comes to purpose, when it comes to maybe services you offer, how you earn money. And the really interesting thing to circle back to is this psychic spiritual stuff. Okay. I think that with the North Node being a Capricorn in the eighth house, especially when we combine this a little bit with Neptune, right? Because Neptune is one of the dispositors of Venus here. But I think this is looking at how you can become mature and responsible when it comes to working with those more spiritual topics. Maybe we could look at this as you studying for a long time. I mean, really getting down to the very history of things, wanting to do all of the research to inform yourself, and then you can guide, right? Venus and Pisces is so much about guiding others, right? Pisces, I feel, is such a guide, an emotional guide, a spiritual guide. So yeah, on your quest to, sort of guide others, this is about coming from a place of, hey, you know what? I've done the work. I've got the credentials. I've been studying this for years. It's this longevity influence with the North Node in Capricorn, and even with Saturn, right? Saturn is the dispositor of the North Node. Saturn, and this again circles back to your question about the 8th, 9th house placements, but Saturn is in the 9th house. And so the 9th house is about higher education, getting degrees, going to university, getting a scholarship, maybe. It just, yeah, you get where I'm coming from. It's really about being in it for the long haul when it comes to educating yourself. And I think in Aquarius, my goodness, this is so much about being a humanitarian. So this is what we're seeing. And on a personal level, I'm going to say this, okay, because we touched on Chiron. That's very personal, especially in Cancer, very personal. Side note there. Well, the North Node being a Capricorn in the 8th indicates to me that your destiny, if you will, your life path, your North Node journey is about also looking within yourself. Okay. What I'm going to say here, and this is just purely going off intuition, is to remember to keep something for yourself. Because what I'm getting from this, especially because there's so much activity happening above the horizon here in these houses, make sure to keep something for yourself, because it could be that you're giving so much to others, right? You're wanting to help, and maybe, hey, Pisces, you can be the martyr. Okay, martyring yourself. Oh, I'll save you. Oh, I'll rescue you. We could also see this partly with the moon in the 7th house too, taking on other people's emotions. We see that too with the square to Venus. So what I'm going to say, make sure to wring out your emotional sponge. Okay, just wring it out. And Capricorn in the 8th could be that, yes, there are some blockages. There's some emotions deep down where it's like, we circle back to Chiron a little bit. And so, yeah, I mean, facing the truth, looking to the difficult, challenging emotions, sure, that's hard. That is hard. But I am going to say this. I mean, Pluto was transiting your 8th house for the past 16 years or so. And my word, the resilience on your part, I'm sure you have so many like life-altering lessons to bring forward. I mean, life-altering lessons based on like loss, right? We think about loss with the eighth house. I'm thinking about significant family members maybe for you here. I'm thinking about just the sudden twists and turns that have happened and occurred for you over the years, especially with Uranus being there. But Neptune, we go back to Neptune, you did ask. Neptune and Capricorn could be where, yes, indeed, there are some spiritual gifts you possess. Maybe there is something about you in crossing to the other side, so to speak. Especially with Neptune sextile Venus, right? It's almost like you can tune into other dimensions, other worlds, if you will. And I'm really just bringing that up to see how you feel about it, right? Maybe this is something that you've thought about, you've contemplated. But yeah, we could see some of these gifts, if you will, right? Hey, it could be even great foresight. I even mix that in a little bit with Moon in Sagittarius. This, using great foresight, having great vision. Aquarius as well. You can feel like maybe a big part of what you're quite good at is being ahead of the curve, right? Aquarius is kind of known for jumping onto the wave, catching the wave before other people catch the wave. I mean, literally, the symbol looks like a little wave. So yeah, it's almost like you can see into the future and not be able to explain how or why and exactly what's going to happen, but you go with it, and then boom, everybody else is jumping on the bandwagon and the trends are happening. So yes, interesting indeed for you, Raina. Okay, so that's yours. I hope that was interesting. Oh, I accidentally just drew on my blanket. It's pain. It's pain. I swear. Okay, Danielle, you're next. Thank you so much, Raina. Oh, I hate that, and I don't even know how to remove that pen. Okay, we have others joining. So, Raina, I'm just ticking you off, and then I'm trying to keep up because I need to make sure that I'm not going over a certain limit. So, Jessica, I think I recognize your name from before, Jessica. Am I wrong? Jennifer, thank you. And Jennifer, let me put your name down first. Jennifer, I do have something to ask of you, though, if you're there. Jennifer, I need your... Oh, okay, okay, Jessica, that is for your husband, right? Let me get that. That is for your husband. The reading's for your husband. Okay, got you. Jennifer, I need your date of birth, time of birth, and place of birth. I need all those things for your reading. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining in. And okay, great. Yep. Okay, yes. So, Danielle, entering in your information now. Let's see. Also, folks, I just want to say, if you haven't already picked up your free guide, I mean, there's a free Capricorn season guide available under the Capricorn season video on my channel. Just saying, it's free. So it's available if you want to pick it up. Okay, let's see. I'm sorry, every time I have food and then I come on live. Okay. Let's see. Just double checking. Right. Seeing. Okay. Oh, that's good. Okay, great, Jessica. Okay, Reuben, I will answer your question in just a moment. I need to grab Jennifer's info. Oh, okay. Hold on. One step at a time. September. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Uh-huh. Trying to like consciously go, slow down. Don't make a mistake. Reuben, yes. So your question, blessings reading. What do you mean by a blessings reading? Can you explain what that means? Like, yeah, please explain. Just elaborate. Let me know what that means exactly. And yeah, so Danielle, okay. Am I glitching? I hope I'm not glitching. Please, Margaret, be good to me. Okay. Danielle. Right. So yeah. Oh, right. Okay. Oh, yes. So yeah, we can look at things coming up for you, Reuben. And as Jessica has said there, yes, you can ask a question, or you can just make it like general. But yeah, it's a mini reading session. And also, just to highlight that I do offer longer readings over on my website, hannahselsewhere.com. So if you want to book more time with me, you can. Yes. Okay, so Danielle, I'm just going to look over your question again. And your question is about jobs, work. Okay. All right. Well, so let's see. I'm going to grab actually some transits. What's coming? And I do. Okay. Well, here's the thing for you, Danielle. This is what I'm getting. Is that okay? So you are 33. And what's significant about this is that your 10th house is very much activated this year. So with these 10th house activations, when it comes to annual perfections, it is a significant year to do with career. Okay, we think about potential job changes, for example, career changes. And the other thing is that Pluto is right on your midheaven right now. Now, here's the interesting thing as well. It's that with Pluto dipping in and out of Aquarius for the past couple of years, so before Pluto entered Aquarius on the 19th of November, starting its full 20-year transit, there was that dip back and forth. So I think that this is something that you've been really contemplating, you've been thinking about for quite a while. But I think what Pluto is indicating is that, yes, there could be some renewal. Now, with that being said, Pluto can act as this force, right? It can be this whole thing of being forced to change paths, whether we even possibly like it or not. It's that kind of thing. And I suppose it's better to do that rather than to be dragged, so to speak, kind of kicking and screaming with Pluto. But I think, if anything, you are actively seeking this, right? You're actively seeking a change. And I do see with the 10th house being activated, mixed in with Pluto right on your midheaven, we could see you taking that leap, so to speak, right? Now, there's more to this though, because what we also see is that Chiron is opposite in Leo. And so what I'm also picking up on here a little bit, let's think about even, how you're feeling. How do you feel about this transition? What's happening within you? And I'm wondering to myself, is it that there's some fears creeping in, maybe to do with confidence? And that's honestly, I think that's completely normal. Whenever it kind of feels like we're on the edge between this significant transition, it can be scary, right? Fears can come up, resistance can come up. It's this whole thing of the ego, holding on. And hey, the ego likes the familiar. And the way I'm further going to explain this is your ascendant is in Taurus. And with this Taurus rising, it is about consistency, right? I think you're smart, honestly, when it comes to your resources, when it comes to your finances, jobs, right? Income, things like that. You're all about, okay, steady. Steady does it. Don't rush. Take your time. And then even to further add to this, Venus, your very chart ruler, is in Virgo. It's there with Mars, and Mercury's there too. So with your Virgo-ness, you're going to prepare. You're going to prepare. You're going to do the research. You're going to gather all of the facts and information that you need. You're going to analyze things, right? So yes, we see these, I would say, these skills you actually possess, right? So to bring it back a little bit to, the ego, with the potential fears coming up, indeed, we can see this with Chiron opposing Pluto, but we can also possibly see, especially as Pluto starts to join with Saturn throughout the year, as things really start to get moving, I think we will see some interesting developments for you. Now, the other thing is that we want to track Saturn itself. So Saturn is currently in Pisces. And what's going to start to happen even as we come into 2025 and we move more toward like April, May time, around that time of 2025, Saturn is going to join up with your moon. And remember that also the moon rules your third. So I'm wondering to myself, is it that you'll feel drawn toward, my laptop. Is it that you'll feel drawn toward caregiving positions? And I'm not necessarily saying this as in, looking after children. Of course, hey, that could be a possibility, working in a daycare place or, supporting children in some way, of course. But I just think this is more, it could be more about just caring for others. It could be caring for the vulnerable, caring for people who have maybe experienced loss, right? There could also be levels of, hey, caring for animals, because with all that Virgo, we think about animals. We'll just think about health. I'm really thinking about health-related positions. Could even be volunteering, charity work, things like that. And working within more humane institutions. This is what I'm also getting. Okay, and I'm wondering, hey, this is what I'm also wondering. Pluto right now is on the midheaven. Pluto rules your 7th. And I'm wondering, is it that you're experiencing power struggles with members of authority, managers, team leaders, supervisors? And maybe this is also part of the reason for why you're like, oh, I'm so over this. Like, I'm over this job. I'm over this position. I want something new, right? This is the thing about Aquarius. It is about out with the old, in with the new. It's also about freedom. But with Saturn, I think there is that steadiness at the same time. There's that stability. And being somewhat more cautious, right? Cautious. And also, I think a big part of this for you is about respect. If you don't feel respected, you may really start to wonder, what am I doing here? Is this serving me? Is this really, really serving me? So back to Saturn joining up with the moon, and this will be more, as I say, more around March, April time. April, May time, sorry. And so I think you may find that you'll want to seek companies, firms, organizations where you actually feel like there's more compassion, There's more compassion, there's more care, there's more of a genuine feel, right? This genuine appreciation for others. Maybe teamwork is going to be a big focus for you. So, yeah, I think this is where we're going to see significant changes. And then just to finish this off for you, Danielle, Saturn and Neptune are on the move throughout 2025. And what I'm about to say here, this is just the beginning stage. They will not officially start their full transits until 2026. So this could be, what I'm about to say, you dipping your toe into a new experience, right? So Saturn and Neptune will come into your 12th house throughout 2025. And so maybe this is where we're going to see some interesting developments, changes to do with your career path. And maybe a big part of that will be working within hospitals, maybe certain institutions there, helping people in need. We do see this being of service sort of influence with the 12th house. And even with Aries, a leadership position, a leadership role that you will take on. So, yes, I hope you benefited, Danielle. Thank you so much. And before I continue, I hope that my internet is okay. Great. Oh, Reuben, you were able to book. Amazing. Thank you. So, and also I need to pick up Jennifer, your question. Amazing, Danielle. Oh, all the best to you. I really hope that you find, the role, the job that you're really looking for. The perfect job is out there waiting for you to apply, and then you'll get it. Thank you, Danielle. Okay. So yes, Jennifer, I just need to take note a little bit of your question. And then Diane, you're next. Okay. 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 Diane. Oh. F. Hope. Double checking info. Yep. Okay, so this is about home ownership, Diane, and I hope that I've put in your information correctly. You'll know from looking at the chart, I'm sure. Oh, that's fine. Um, Bye, Danielle. Okay. Yes, I hope all of this looks pretty up to date for you, Diane. And I'm just reading over your question. Okay, so moving out. Yeah. Let's see. Just getting some timing techniques, Diane. Oh, okay. So let's just go here. Okay, great. Thank you for confirming, because I was a little bit like, I hope I didn't put the information incorrectly, but all good, all good. Okay. So your question is about moving out as a homeowner. You're wanting to find the right neighborhood and the right community. Okay. Well, I wanted to explore annual perfections, and what we see here when it comes to you is the first house is activated. So you recently turned, 36. And what we see is that Pisces is in your first house along with the North Node. And therefore, what we could see for you is that there is a change. When we think about the first house, especially with transits, annual perfections, it's so much about a new cycle. It's about new beginnings, fresh starts, and to have the North Node in there as well, the North Node will be very much activated. So with the North Node, this is about your life path, your direction, your destiny. It's also about your personal aims and goals, but that's also partly sort of shared in a way with others because Pisces is so other focused, right? At the same time. And we also see with the North Node being at 10 degrees, it's kind of with that moon deacon. So even if we think about Neptune in some ways too, but the moon is really about that emotional connection and support. And here's the other thing I want to mention, that the North Node is going to come into Pisces on the 11th of January for the next 18 months. And you will experience what's known as your nodal return. So, to me, I think there's just going to be so much of this focus on things like wish fulfillments and really aligning with the things that you want in life. A lot of this is about the self, a lot of this is about your personal sort of goals and insights, and such a focus on these new chapters of your life. When we combine the first house, annual perfection, with you being 36, and then also with the notes changing, it just seems like the stars are aligning, so to speak, right? Okay. What I also want to explore a little bit is Jupiter. So Jupiter is right there with the moon in the 4th house, and Jupiter is also your chart ruler. Well, one of them. And Jupiter here with the moon indicates to me that there has been some significant movement, changes, variety, switching things up, so to speak, when it comes to your family life, your home life, right? We think about your living situation. I think of even about potential traveling you've done throughout your life. I think about the places you've explored. And to further add to this a bit, you do have the sun in Sagittarius. And so we certainly can see you as being quite the explorer, the seeker, new experiences, all that freedom as well with the sun in Sagittarius. But back to Jupiter. So Jupiter has actually been transiting your 4th house as for a good few months. I think Jupiter came into Gemini around May, June of 2024. So this has indeed been a bit of a journey for you when it comes to this whole, home stuff, this transitional stuff, the changes you want to make when it comes to this the home ownership conversation. And Jupiter, with Jupiter being in Gemini, you have experienced what's known as a Jupiter return. So this is also about, questioning your beliefs, questioning your higher meaning, where are you headed, what do you want out of life, things like this. And maybe a part of it is because, you want to try to venture out. This is what I'm getting, especially with the retrogrades right now. So Mercury has been retrograde in Sagittarius since the 25th of November and actually turns direct today. Oops, my earphone. Today. And then Jupiter is also retrograde in Gemini and turns direct on the 4th of February. But what does all of this mean, right? How do we break this down? I think there are going to be some interesting developments that will happen, especially with Mercury turning direct, and then also Jupiter turning direct by February. So yes, I think things to do with your life path, your family situation, your home situation, matters to do with your life's mission, your purpose, your higher meaning, your beliefs, all of these things. Yes, we're going to see changes. And the other thing to further add to this is, I was thinking about neighborhood stuff, okay? Because let me just read over your question. Finding the right neighborhood and the right community. And when it comes to our local area, stuff like that, smaller communities, local communities, we tend to look to the 3rd house, and Taurus is there. And so I do find it interesting because with Taurus, it is about stability. But you see, Uranus has been transiting your 3rd house for a good number of years, from about 2011. And Uranus is right there with your secondary progressed Jupiter. So sudden changes, right? The unexpected can certainly happen. We see the disruptive influences here when it comes to things like travel, movement. So that's interesting. But yeah, I think the other thing is Uranus is still retrograde in Taurus. And Uranus will turn direct in Taurus from the 30th of January, actually. And then eventually will come into Gemini, July of 2025. I know Uranus is still about unexpected things, and it can be so unpredictable, I know. But with Uranus, especially activating Jupiter and the moon come July, yeah, I can see the movement, right? I can see you experiencing a significant change. Let's just say that when it comes to this home ownership stuff. And then even as for community and things like that, to further highlight what we see is that with the 11th house can also be about togetherness and community. And the secondary progressed sun is there with Saturn. And so, sure, we do see some form of delays and setbacks, things like that too. But we also see your mission, your purpose, your direction, what you're working toward. And out at the other end of trials and tribulations with Capricorn, I see this as you being successful, right? I see this as you finding, like minds or people that you can band together with, things like that. We see the community progressions and the community movements. So there is that also. And to further add to this, Saturn itself is the ruler of your 11th, and Saturn has been transiting your first. So, what's pretty important about this is Saturn's going to start to move away from your ascendant. And I think this is really where we're going to see things take off. Even Saturn is going to come into Aries by about May. Yes. 24th of May, I believe, Saturn enters Aries from my memory. And eventually coming into the second and joining with Mars, yeah, I think this is where we're going to see this push for success when it comes to finances, resources. Basically, all in all, I do see the movement that you're seeking. I see what's up ahead through the astrology, Diane. And hey, I wish you all the best. Okay, that is yours, Diane. Thank you so much. Good morning, Mo. Thanks for joining. And hi, Alexander. Or no, I don't know if you're saying hi to Mo. Sorry. Oh, Mercury, be good to me, please. Okay. Right. Now we're moving on to Jessica. We're looking at Mark's chart today. Thank you so much, Diane. And I really hope that you find what you're looking for. So work, finances, and moving. 3. Yeah. I'm sorry, Reuben. I am sorry. It's just I had food not too long before I came on. Okay. So I'm just getting some timing techniques for you, Mark. Let me just check. Work. Oh, here. Do you know what as well? I just want to say I watched a movie called Carry On last night. If you've not seen it, people, I recommend it. It's pretty good. It's on Netflix. Okay. Um, No, no, wait, yeah. Okay. Third. So yeah, and then to the fourth. Okay. All right. Okay. So, Mark, work, finances, and moving you want to know about. Let me just look over your chart a second. Let me get some transits. Right. So I want to firstly address the moving situation. And the way I want to enter into this is that this year, so basically up until your birthday, you're in this third house activation year. And Virgo rules your third. Then Mercury is also the ruler of your third. Mercury is currently in Sagittarius. It's retrograde and it's right there with Saturn. Okay, what does this all mean? I see this as things being slow moving when it comes to this whole relocating stuff. We think about you possibly moving from one location to another, but more locally. Or it could be where you want to travel or move further afield, with Sagittarius being a part of this. You know, Sagittarius is more about long distance travel, for example, but still, with Saturn involved, there is some restriction. But hey, we could also look at this as using Mercury retrograde as a time to prepare, as a time to plan, to go over some kind of travel strategy, moving strategy. And then I'm also thinking, is this work related? You know, I'm wondering if the reason for moving is because of a work situation, whether this be you feeling restricted at work or you're just looking to expand your horizons, you're looking to try something new, right? Now, Mercury is going to turn direct today. Yes, so today. Yes, Mercury will indeed turn direct today. And what will happen is Mercury will gradually start to move through Sagittarius, through your sixth house, joining up with Uranus definitely by the end of the year, coming into 2025. And so there could be some interesting, exciting developments up ahead. Again, I can't help but think that a lot of this is work related. But hey, this could also be the very leap of faith that you take, right, with Uranus. Hey, it could also be something unexpected that happens at work that's enough to make you change your path, change your direction. And naturally, Mercury will come into your seventh house. And what we'll notice before you celebrate your 39th birthday is with the third house still being activated for a little bit and then Mercury coming into the seventh, we can maybe look at this as some new agreement or contract being signed or some sort of new business partnership or a work-related partnership, something like that. However, what I will say with Mercury joining up with Neptune throughout this process is be mindful of swindlers, con artists, incorrect information. Just know what I'm just going to say. Just sit with proper, documents. Make sure you read the fine print, the small print, all of that good stuff. Yeah, and if there is some kind of thing, like how do we say, a business partnership being offered, an agreement, a deal, with Neptune involved, I think it is just about hopefully not wearing rose-colored glasses, and seeing through anything that's deceptive or delusional, right? And maybe you can even seek some kind of support from your partner or a third party or some, legal professional, for instance. But what's also further interesting about this, Mark, is when you turn 39, it's actually the fourth house that's going to be activated. And the fourth house is literally about home life, family life, property ownership. Now, the second house is also kind of about this, right, with possession and ownership and things like that, which we will get to the second house in a moment. But I'm just saying, with the fourth house being activated when you turn 39, and then for that year, there is going to be significant change, I think, within the home. And I think a big part of it too will be for balance, because I think this is more of a conversation, because this is just going again off my intuition with this, but I think maybe you're looking for a healthier work-life balance. I think that you're maybe wanting to spend more time with family, with loved ones, perhaps. And I think just in general, what you're doing is you're really just starting to rethink and consider, what your priorities are when it comes to family life, home life, things of that nature. Okay, so then what we notice is that, yes, as this theme is going on with the fourth house being activated, we also see that Mars is going to be retrograde. Mars is currently retrograde, actually, in Leo until the 6th of January in your second house. So what is this about? I see this as you honestly taking the time to review your financial position and to consider your goals when it comes to your professional life. I'm saying this because Aries does rule the 10th, Mars ruled. So indeed, it is about taking some time to review where you are when it comes to your professional life, what you want in this regard, and energetically, right? It's like energetically, what aligns with you? What are you seeking there? And maybe it is about some kind of new position or possibly a promotion, right? Maybe that's even a part of that Saturn story, right? With Saturn in the 6th house, Mercury retrograde on it. It could be that you're looking for a new challenge, right? You're wanting to gain a promotion. Maybe you're wanting to make more money so that you can provide for your family. And these are just, of course, different possibilities, different ideas to consider. Still, Mars retrograde until the 6th of January is your opportunity just to slow it down a little bit, right? Slow it down, go within, think things over. And with Saturn retrograde also opposing this Venus, Sun, and Mercury in Aquarius in the 8th, I'm wondering to myself, is it that you already work within insurance, finance, management, enterprise? Yeah, honestly, I even see this as you carrying a lot of weight, being such a focus, like an important member, basically, when it comes to your work. And so I think with Mars, I need to take a drink of water. Okay. And so I think with Mars retrograde opposite, this is a challenging point. This is a point of, hold on a second, whenever I slow down and I think about energetically, how I'm feeling here physically, is this serving me? All the responsibility, all the hard work, the expectations perhaps from others. This is what I'm picking up on a little bit, especially with Mars retrograde making the trine to Saturn. And Saturn is so much about responsibility. Think about how Saturn makes sextiles with the Aquarius influence. Yeah. So I'm seeing here just a lot of discipline on your part. I'm seeing here a lot of dedication on your part, and how a lot of people may actually really depend on you. And it could be groups, teams of people. So all in all, take the time to review where you're at, and to also maybe, I think with Mars retrograde, there could be some cutbacks you're wanting to make when it comes to your spending habits and your finances. Then you see, Mars retrograde comes into your first house from January 2nd until the 23rd of February. So this part of the retrograde is really about you, but it's also about your family. It's about the ones you support, the ones that you care for, the ones that you love. And to think about how, these people are also a part of your identity in some way, shape, or form. And I think at the same time, this is about being able to support yourself, right? To nurture yourself. So from the 6th of January until the 23rd of February, it could be this opportunity for you to just, manage, protect your energy. We're actually going to experience a full moon in Cancer in January. So there could be some interesting releases or things that you let go of around that time. Things that you let go of that maybe don't serve you very well, especially when we relate it back to nourishing yourself, right? Nurturing yourself. Then to further add to this, which also relates a little bit with moving, possibly relocating, Jupiter enters Cancer June of 2025 for the next year. Activating what? Activating your first house. So Mark, I think that we're seeing these shifts. We're seeing changes to do with relocation, to do with just in general your life path, new beginnings with the first house, okay? We're seeing new beginnings when it comes to travel and new beginnings when it comes to family. Mix that in a little bit with that fourth house activation. Indeed, so many themes, so many significant themes to do with your family. Yeah, I'm just trying to think if there's anything else that I want to touch on before I close off. Just give me a moment. I'm trying to slow it down a little bit. Yes, work. Yep. Okay, last thing. Yeah. Last thing I want to mention is Saturn and Neptune will be on the move. Saturn comes into Aries May 2025, and then also Neptune comes into Aries from the end of March. We actually have Mercury retrograde and Venus retrograde. So what does this all mean? Right. Around March, April time, even May time. So around that time period, I think this is where we're going to see this nudge. Okay. This nudge when it comes to your career path, your professional life, maybe taking on a new leadership position, a new leadership role. To just follow on from that, remember that this is just the beginning stages. Right, I think we want to think about how in 2026, Saturn and Neptune will begin their full term transits in the 10th. It's not to say that, you won't take on a new role in 2025. I'm just saying that, this is still about the beginning. And so, yeah, there could be just more interesting developments to come throughout 2025. Okay, Mark, I hope you find it to be helpful. Hello to you, Phyllis. Hello to Sunshine Tarot. And Jessica, I am so glad. I'm so glad that it resonated. Great. Thank you so much. Thank you to you both. Now we're on to Jennifer. And you know what? I think I'm going to close the readings from there. I'm going to do Jennifer's and then Reuben's, and then I'm going to just close for this evening. Yeah. Energetically, that is how I'm feeling. So I am just going to edit the title, and then we'll get on to yours, Jennifer. So Jennifer, I'm just going to put in your information. Okay. So there is a question about the military. If you are there, Jennifer, I'm curious to know when that was. You said you were discharged. I'm just curious to know when you were discharged. I could obviously look for indicators there, but I'm just seeing. Let me see. Grab your chart. November 15th, 24. Okay. Thank you. Let me see here. Okay, so it was exactly a month ago. From the basic training from the Air Force after graduation from basic training. You want to try for the Army, but you do prefer the Air Force. Okay. Okay, well, a couple of things. It's interesting for you, Jennifer, because Aries is in the 6th house. And the 6th house is so much about work. It's about our occupation. So we look to the 6th house for, okay, interesting changes, events, experiences. The North Node has been traveling through your 6th house since July of 2023. And I see this as so much focus then going into your job. And Aries is a sign tied to the military, right? The army, combat, defense, weaponry, things like that. Aries certainly rules these areas within astrology. So we can see how this stuff is tied to your work with Aries there. But you see, Mars is the ruler of Aries. And whenever whenever you were discharged, Mars was actually in the 10th house in Leo. And I'm pretty sure, yes, that there was the pre-shadow period that had started of Mars. So I will get to the terminology of what I'm meaning here in a moment. But basically, we're seeing here then those professional moves and how they are somehow military related. And in your case, they are military related, right, with Mars. But you see, Mars is currently retrograde in the skies in Leo. So you're experiencing this period of reflection, maybe asking yourself, about your actions and your choices. We think about, questions to do with being discharged. It's just a time of reviewing what happened. And so maybe from your ability to look things over, perhaps there can be some interesting things that come up, right? So there is that. But then you see Mars will re-enter Leo. And I'm just going to get some dates here a moment. Just give me a moment. Mars retrograde, you see, goes back into Cancer from the 6th of January until the 23rd of February. So there is that. But I just want to look at when Mars goes back into Leo. Thank you for being patient with me. Yeah, so on the 18th of April, Mars comes back into Leo. And so therefore, I see this as you potentially reapplying. You, after a period of honestly thinking things over, you can reapply. Or it's that we could actually see another chance, another opportunity, honestly, with Mars. Because of that retrograde motion, right? Mars was direct before, then it went retrograde, be direct again. So yeah, we could literally look at this as another opportunity. But there's more to this, right? Because of course, that the previous time is not going to be the same as the other one coming up. So we also want to reflect a little bit on Mercury retrograde and Venus retrograde, which will happen throughout March and April. So these retrogrades will occur partly in Aries in your 6th. So I'm thinking health exams, perhaps. I'm also just thinking about your health in general with those retrogrades in terms of what you can take on, what is physically possible for you. We think even about certain high demands, especially within the role that you take on there. But yeah, maybe we could look at this as another way of retraining, looking over the facts, the information, right? It's re-educating yourself a bit, becoming updated, becoming informed, especially with Mercury retrograde. With Venus retrograde, there could also be more of those financial elements that come into the equation. So for instance, how you can, pay for certain training programs, just as one example. But to also further add, Venus enters Aries again at the end of April, and then Mercury re-enters Aries on the 16th of April. So it seems as if, I would say, from about coming more towards the end of April into May, I think this is where we're going to see more clarity about this situation for you. I think this is where we're going to see maybe more of a straight path, right? More ability to gain the answers that you need. So the answers that you're looking for, I think there would just be more clarity is what I'm trying to say here. Now, let me just read over your chart again. Oh, Jennifer. Wow. Let me just look over more. Yeah, I mean, your natal Mars is in Scorpio. And that Mars is home in Scorpio. And my goodness, what a resilient placement. This to me suggests that you're a very ambitious person. and that whenever you put your mind to something, you go for it. And then I also see with your sun being in Virgo, just how much you're willing to study. And it's about really being practical, right? To be practical, to inform yourself. It's a lot of it, I think, with the Virgo qualities of being analytical. I think a lot of this is tied to your career. I think about even within these military positions that, of course, the the necessity to get it right is so crucial. I think that with the sun, with the midheaven, perhaps we're seeing that pressure, but also where you thrive in many ways. I think you can certainly thrive when it comes to those more high intensity jobs and positions, when we especially mix this in with Mars and Scorpio. Yeah. And I also look a little bit to Mercury in Libra, and I think about how you can see all sides to a situation. Even in the 12th house, you can pick up on the nuances. You can pick up on the sort of hidden currents a little bit, what isn't being said. Blend that a little bit in with Scorpio, of course. And yeah, we see, basically, I'm bringing this up because we see your gifts, we see your talents. And then also with the moon itself in Aquarius, we can see this as you being able to remain quite objective. I think, especially when it comes to the military in this way, there are certain roles and positions where it does require objectivity. Not getting sort of personally involved. Yeah. So the moon in Aquarius, I feel like, points to this part of you. So anyway, yes, Jennifer, as I say, I do think we're going to see some interesting changes up ahead for you. And to further just mention Saturn, I'm particularly going to draw from Saturn here. Saturn's going to enter Aries, your 6th house. That's going to be around May as well. So how I was saying, more towards the end of April, coming into May, we're going to see some interesting changes. Saturn is also going to be, I think, it's going to act as that solid, supportive, get down to business figure. I think this is where we're going to see you maybe taking certain exams, or we're going to see you start to really rebuild things and, look at the structure, look at that steady growth when it comes to your work. And a lot of it, I feel, will be about educating yourself because Capricorn rules your 3rd. Okay, so Jennifer, all the best to you. All the best to you. I really hope that it works out well for you. Sunshine Tarot. So we're closed this session. I have Reuben, and then, yeah, so we're going to be wrapping up after Reuben's reading. But indeed, next time, hey? Okay, so Reuben, I'm just going to find your info. Yeah, and Jennifer, as I say, I wish you all the best. I mean, Chiron as well in the 6th. I mean, it can suggest some challenges there to do with your health. So I hope that with the changes up ahead that things can develop in more healthy, empowering ways for you. Okay, so let me see. Reuben. Yep. Hold on a second. Oh, right, okay. Yep. Okay. Go here. Go here. I'm just checking the chat here, Reuben. Okay. And I'm just looking over your question. Okay. So, blessings, challenges, blockages, things like that. Transits. Oh, and then let's even look at. Okay, yep. Then. Okay. Transits, yep. Okay. Reuben. Well, what I want to inform you about firstly is with you recently turning 35, the 12th house is activated for you this year. And 12th house activation years are just a really good time to go behind the scenes, contemplate. Maybe a lot of focus will go into your health. We especially will see this with the South Node coming into your 12th house from the 11th of January for the next 18 months. My words, yes. Reuben, health, I think, is going to be a major focus, a major priority for you throughout 2025. And you see, what we're also going to notice here is that the North Node will be in the 6th at the same time. So as the North Node comes into Pisces, the South Node comes into Virgo. They work together. And with the 6th house activation, maybe this highlights just those spiritual practices, spiritual themes. We think even about with this combination, healing, detox, just getting rid of certain toxins or things that just are not very good for you, get it good for your body. Just, how can you even just remove yourself from matters that are not good for you mentally, spiritually, physically? Saturn, you see, even has been transiting your 6th house since March of 2023. And so we have seen significant changes and shifts to do with your productivity levels, your stress levels, your daily habits. A lot of this, I think, is about really focusing on, okay, well, what is a priority and what can I manage? A lot of it too is about any pressures that you place upon yourself or any pressures that you feel that are being placed upon you, especially at work. A lot of this is about energetic boundaries, emotional boundaries, spiritual boundaries, knowing your limits, knowing your limits, being mature about your limits and what you can actually offer, what you can actually do, and seeing where you might pushing beyond your limits. And hey, when we push beyond our limits, it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's not necessarily a bad thing. But the thing about this is this Saturn influence has been making So more of this square influence to your Sagittarius energy. So what we're noticing for you is maybe asking yourself when you take things too far, when you get carried away. Okay, maybe we could also partially look at this as any addictive tendencies, for example, with Pisces involved, or anything that you may be disillusioned by as well, especially when it comes to your energy, right? When it comes to your productivity levels, especially considering, honesty about what you can physically do throughout the day, how much you can physically take on. At the same time, we see that Saturn is making a bit of a trine to Mars and Pluto in your second house. So I am going to say this about you, Reuben. I mean, you are a resilient person. Whenever you want something bad enough, you fight tooth and nail until you get it. We do notice your really good work ethic, possibly being able to work within pretty high intense positions and taking on a lot as well. Still, the nodes, I just think the nodes coming into Virgo and Pisces for you, again, January, for the next 18 months, it's going to speak a little bit to how you can realign in some way, shape, or form. So what I'm really drawing from a bit is, okay, is there anything intense or extreme about your energy, about what you take on? And then how can you maybe balance that out a little bit with healthier forms, healthier ways of showing up? And it's interesting because your rising is in Libra. And Libra on the rising is so much about balance and being able to restore that balance whenever things are not very balanced. It's hard to balance things in life. Honestly, I don't think any of us are able to do it. And even when we do find that sweet spot, it's hard to do it for a long time. So there is that. But we still see this part of you that strives, right? You strive to just, take a little bit take a little bit off, put a little bit on. It's just trying to find where that sweet spot is, if you will. So indeed, I think we're going to notice these themes happening for you throughout 2025. And speaking of the balance stuff, right? We think about how you offset that balance a little bit. Jupiter is going to be coming into your 10th, and Jupiter will enter your 10th from June of 2025 for the next year. And you're going to experience your Jupiter return. So what is this all about? Well, the 10th house is so much about, so Jupiter's coming into Cancer in the 10th. The 10th house is so much about your professional life. It's so much about achievement, accomplishment, your reputation, just how you show up publicly. So Jupiter, we speak about blessings and abundance, and we think about prosperity. So Jupiter rules these things. So indeed, we could see some interesting expansion, growth here, and just feeling connected, like feeling aligned, feeling like, yes, I'm on the right path. I feel like when it comes to my career, when it comes to the work that I do, that, that things feel supported, that I feel supported, I feel protected. Now, the interesting thing to further add, though, is this Jupiter influence is going to oppose all of this Capricorn influence in the 4th. So, with all the Capricorn going on in your 4th house, it does appear as if at your core, it's like, I've got this. I'm self-sufficient. I'm self-reliant. I know what I'm doing. I don't need anybody. Okay. A lot of this is about drawing from just how ambitious you are and how you can, tune in with those parts of yourself if or when you need to. And we could also look at this possibly as you working from home or taking on some rules, more so, of course, within your home, or this could even be about real estate, property ownership, selling, things like that too. or just even working within pretty high intensity organizations or firms. And again, it's you committing yourself. So as all of this stuff is happening, we've got Jupiter opposing this part of you, which will come up, and you already have this in your chart, right, with Jupiter in Cancer. So I think what we could look at this as is you maybe considering other options, maybe seeking to expand your horizons in new ways, to broaden your vision, to widen your view. And maybe these questions will become more prominent, more evident as you experience your Jupiter return, which will happen throughout 2025. And again, just a reminder, Jupiter comes into Cancer June of 2025 and then will be there for the year. And what I further want to add to this is, remember, Sagittarius rules your third, and the Sun and Mercury are already there. Sagittarius is Jupiter ruled. So maybe we could see this as you possibly moving location, right? Doesn't, of course, with Sagittarius, it could be long distance. It could be certainly moving to another country or things like that. But could also be some form of, okay, moving from just one smaller area to another, neighborhoods with the third house. Maybe a part of the move is about opening your mind. I'm just getting that perhaps throughout 2025, you're going to really focus on how you can change the scenery. I think that's perhaps what you're looking for. If there's anything that maybe feels stale, limited, depressive, repressive, with all that Capricorn in the fourth, and you're just like, oh, yawn, I'm over this. Maybe in a way, Jupiter coming into Cancer will be like a new horizon sort of influence. Even think about it this way, with Jupiter currently transiting your ninth, I think you've been questioning your worldviews, your beliefs, your higher meaning. There's a lot of chit chat, a lot of many ideas going on in your mind of how to maybe grow and explore. Jupiter's the seeker in astrology. And so, yeah, I think that this is just a current part of the process. And we also see with this greater insight or freedom, or this push towards a different calling throughout 2025, how a lot of this will, in a way, inspire your Sagittarius self. Okay, I'm just going to close it on this note. Remember that the Sun is about our vitality. It's about our aliveness. So if you're really thinking about like abundance and prosperity, especially in the case of Sagittarius, I think it's almost like you crave you crave your freedom, you crave some sort of movement and being able to grow, essentially. So there is that. Well, Reuben, I really hope that you find your reading to be helpful. I hope everyone finds their readings to be helpful. Thank you for booking. Oh, very interesting. Spiritual awakening. Wow, that was last year for you. Okay. Interesting indeed. Well, I wish you all the best. And I just want to say again, thank you everybody for tuning in, and hello to others who have joined. But that is us. That is us for today. And oh, that is great. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly, but Harshita. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Thank you. Well, everyone, happy Sunday. Thanks for being here. Happy full moon in Gemini. Mercury's turning direct. Yay! Honestly, Mercury goes retrograde 3 times a year, so it's like, yeah, really whatever. But I'm just joking. Okay, thanks all so much, and I will talk to you in the next video. Bye.